Hello, Sadisteck here, and welcome back to the 5th video in my Cryptant Crab series. Well, Cryptant Crab Prime. Last video was all about the crabs and how to make them better in the arena. This video is going to be about the inventory, which includes some extra things about the crabs I may have missed in the last video, the fossils, and the artifacts. So right here in the inventory, you can see all your crabs in a sort of binder-like page. There are 12 crabs per page, and you can shuffle the page at the bottom. There isn't too much more information to go over. Some small tips and tricks are you can click this spot right here to pin your crabs in case you want specific crabs to be seen at the front of the binder. I typically do this with all my legendaries and all my 8 GP or better crabs. On the opposite side, you have this eye, and if you hover over it, you can see the heart system, the element, and specific type of body parts, and all the GP for the crab. Now, if you want it to stay like that, you can simply click the eye, and it'll continue to stay like that. You can do that with multiple, yeah. Very simple, a little helpful. And of course, you can search for each crab. Let's search for my druid parts. And it'll show you all your druid parts, whether it's the body, a full built crab, or just a single part. Going back to here, you can also filter through elements. So let's say I just want to see all my fire crabs. Now this won't give you body parts, it will only give you your fire crabs. So you won't get an earth crab body with a fire arm. Now, clearing that, on top of elements, you can also sort by all legendary parts. That's what this star right here means. Now, again, it's body parts, not parts. I misspoke a second ago. Clearing that, you have more filter options right here. There are 2 titles you can filter by, Pioneer and Primordial. When the game was initially released, there were certain crabs that came out that were Pioneers. They were very low numbered crabs. I think it was the first 1,000 crabs. I might be wrong on that. But real quick, this is a Pioneer crab. All Pioneers will have this or whatever element it is, that color, running across the type, and it says Pioneer. They were simply early crabs that early adopters minted, and yeah. Alright, back to inventory. And of course the other option is Primordial, which are these crabs right here. They're fairly new still. And now below that, you can filter by elements and which body part of that element you want, or if you want only to see full set crabs. Personally, I'm really enjoying them adding a growth point filter. If you only want to see your 8 growth point crabs up, you just put the minimum to 8 and apply. And of course, they'll show the primordials because all of those are 15, but yeah. You can get rid of those by dropping the 15 down to 14. See, no more primordials. And these are all my 8 and higher GP crabs that aren't 15. I don't believe I have any 15 GPs outside of the primordials, so yeah. Alright, let's clear those. What else? You can choose which GP of HP, DPS, and block you want. And of course you can search for the heart system. So if you want the DPS on and HP off, you can go like that, and it'll show you all of them that fit that. But we're not worried about that right now. On this side, you have the sort options. So you have default, ID, which by the way, the ID is this number right here, level, HP, DPS, block, and rarity. I like to sort by rarity, and then you have high and low on this side for each option. Okay, but that's about it for the crabs in the inventory. The important part is the fossils. Now, a fossil is what you get when you xenograft or megagrowth a crab. The crab that you destroyed is turned into a fossil. And like I stated in the previous video, that fossil, you cannot change it any longer, with one exception, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But a fossil can be used in battle to augment a stat of one of your battling crabs. Now there are 6 different stats a fossil can boost. The 5 flat stats are DPS, block, resistance, HP, and prey multiplier. The 6th stat which is the only stat that you cannot get anywhere else, is a growth point bonus. And this essentially provides extra growth point stats based on your levels and your current growth points. There are two different types of fossils: relic fossils and regular fossils. A regular fossil will give you a 5% bonus to any one of those stats. A relic fossil will give you a 10% bonus to that stat. Moving on, here is a relic fossil next to another crab of the same species that is not a relic fossil. The visual difference is the brightly colored gem in the middle of the crab. Now, looking back at this crab, you may notice that these are not relic fossils. However, they are giving 10% bonus. That is because both of these fossils have an element. Even though you destroyed the crab that they were, they still have the spirit element. So if you pair a spirit fossil with a spirit crab, the bonus will be doubled. And yes, this does go with relic fossils as well. You can gain 20% bonus to a stat per fossil. Let me see if I have one of those right now. Here we have two relic DPS bonuses. Both of them are giving 20% bonus instead of 10%, for a combined total of 40% bonus to DPS. It is really good to keep that in mind when determining which fossils go on which crabs, in order to double your potential bonus. Now, equipping a fossil to a crab is not the only thing you can do with it. The next option is to bind a fossil to a crab. When you bind a fossil to a crab, you spend 1,500 crab tokens. And once you do that, two hidden options for bonus stats will show up. You get to select one of those stats to be active for that crab. Now you should note you can unbind that fossil from that crab, add it to another crab, rebind it, and it will come up with two different stat options for you. However, I'm pretty sure you cannot unbind a fossil from a crab and then rebind it to the same crab to get different stats. I believe it will keep the same options you had before. Let's go into examples for that. Alright, here we have my druid crab, and I have two bound fossils to it. Let's look at one of them and the stats it offers. You can click this button right here to check what the bound stats are. So the specific stat I opted to take was decrease the DPS of an enemy crab by 16%. The other option I had but did not choose was increase the HP by 28% if the partner crab is a primordial. In all honesty, both of these stats are good, and I went with the more general one. Let's say I wanted to swap these two stats out. You can change to the other stat by clicking this, going to the change stat option, and then you can select the other stat, but you do have to pay another 1,500 crab tokens. I'm not going to do that right now. Exit that. So in here you have the same filters. You can search for what attribute you want and yada yada yada. That's pretty self-explanatory. You have the available option. So this will show you every fossil that's not equipped to a crab already. It'll show you all the ones that are bound, and you can do the opposite, so show all the ones that are equipped. Alright, so what I was saying earlier was, these two stats will always appear when I bind this fossil to this crab. I can unbind it, or I guess just remove it, and then I can bind it to another crab, and it should give me different options. But then if I take it off that one, move it back to this specific crab, my druid crab, it'll give me these two options again. Okay, so I hope I sufficiently described binding to you. In the inventory, let's move on to fossils. So here we have the fossils, and it's the same as the crabs as far as how it looks. Binder page, 12 per page, and at the bottom you can scroll through. They have very similar filters and stuff like that. Same thing, you can pin the fossils you like. I tend to pin all my relic fossils that are DPS or block. Now, one thing that stands out is this reborn button. So, when you want to reborn a crab, what it means is essentially you're dusting your fossils, destroying them forever to make a brand new egg. Now, there's no guarantee what the egg stats are going to be, and the one time I did it, I only got a 5 GP, so yeah. It's a risk-reward thing. But to reborn a crab, you click this button, and then you select the fossils that you want to destroy. Now, a relic fossil will give you 3 points. You click this, 3 of them fill up. You need to get to 10 points in order to complete the reborn. Also notice that above here you have the elements and the percentage. I put a metal relic fossil in, so it has a 30% chance that the crab I hatch will be a metal crab. And yes, you can make that all 10 metal crabs, and you will 100% get a metal crab from it. So I put 1 water crab in. It would most likely still be a metal crab. What is this? What is that saying? Is that saying that it will be an 8 or 9 GP crab? Alright, hold on. Oh. Okay, so non-relic fossils will give you a 5 to 6 GP. So let me take out 3 of these. Put that in. A 6 to 7 if you put 1 relic fossil. Now, does that bonus make a difference? No, it does not. So, excuse me. There's a 7 to 8. I guess when I did it, I only put the normal fossils in there, and I got a 5 to 6 GP crab. So I can get an 8 to 9 GP crab by getting rid of my prey multiplier relics. I might do this later. So I learned something today while making this video. Alright, but before I get too stuck on that, let's move on. The next item on the information list is the artifacts. Now, the artifacts are right here. We have relics, knowledge cells, and I don't have one right now, but it's a greater knowledge cell. So, I did mention in my previous video that if you wanted to improve your crab's resistance to a specific element, you can use these relics. The other option you can do with these relics are craft the knowledge cells. So, if you come here to the craft, you can see to make a greater knowledge cell, it takes 20 of each relic. Now, a knowledge cell only takes 4 of each relic. Now, that's a 5 times difference. Now, if you remember from the previous video, greater knowledge cells give a 7 times XP bonus compared to a knowledge cell. So for 5 times the cost, you get 7 times the bonus. So the only real use of knowledge cells are to increase the XP of specific crabs. And same goes with greater knowledge cells. But relics have 3 different uses: increasing the resistance of a crab, crafting knowledge cells, and embedding fossils. What it means to embed a fossil simply means you take a common fossil, you spin 50 relics of whatever element that fossil is, and it becomes a relic fossil. It's very simple and straightforward. Right here is a fossil that is just a common fossil that I own. To embed it, you click this button right here, and it'll simply say spin 50 spirit relics to turn this fossil into a relic fossil. Now, I've not done this before, so I cannot guarantee it, but I assume the bonus will stay the same. Oh yes, before I forget, the only ways to gain relics are in your daily rewards on your 7th day and in the arena. I believe those are the only 2 ways to obtain relics. Alright, well, I believe that is all the information I need to give for this video. Y'all have a good night and enjoy.